Galactic Empire in chaos. Unknown ship detected. It's targeting us. HFY sci-fi thriller. Commander Zara Vex stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought, Sovereign's Wrath *, watching the red emergency lights cast eerie shadows across her crew's faces. The Kalari Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 2,000 years. But today, everything was falling apart. "Status report," Zara commanded, her four arms moving efficiently across the tactical displays. As a Kalari, she was built for command, tall, imposing, with natural armor plating, and the mental capacity to process multiple data streams simultaneously. Lieutenant Thex, her communications officer, looked up with his large, compound eyes reflecting the chaos on his screens. "Commander, we've lost contact with 17 sectors. The rebellion is spreading faster than our intelligence predicted." Zara's mandibles clicked in frustration. The human uprising had started 3 months ago on a backwater mining world called Kepler 442b. Humans, those soft, weak creatures the Empire had conquered decades ago, were somehow inspiring other species to revolt. It made no sense. How could beings with no natural armor, no enhanced strength, and such short lifespans be causing such chaos? "Sir," called Tactical Officer Brent from his station, his scaled hands working frantically over the controls. "Long-range sensors are picking up an unknown vessel approaching our position. It's moving fast." "Unknown?" Zara turned to face him, her third and fourth arms automatically checking additional displays. "Run it through Imperial databases. Everything in this sector should be cataloged." Brent's claws tapped rapidly on his console, the clicking sound echoing through the tense bridge atmosphere. "Already did, Commander. The ship's design, it doesn't match any known configuration. Energy signature is completely unfamiliar, and the construction materials, I've never seen readings like this." Captain Morth, Zara's second-in-command, moved closer to examine the readings. His reptilian features showed deep concern, his neck frill expanding slightly, a sign of stress among his species. "Could it be a new rebel ship? Some kind of captured Imperial technology they've modified?" "Negative, sir," Brent replied, his voice becoming more strained. "This is something else entirely. The vessel is approximately 800 meters long, but its power output suggests it should be much larger. Commander, I'm reading energy signatures that don't match anything in our databases. The quantum resonance patterns are impossible." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. In her 30 years of Imperial service, she had encountered every known species in the galaxy. The Empire's databases were comprehensive. They had to be to maintain control over 1 trillion beings across thousands of worlds. Her rise through the ranks had been built on her encyclopedic knowledge of alien technologies and tactics. "Distance and approach vector?" Zara asked, trying to keep her voice steady. 2 million kilometers and closing. Current speed." Brent paused, rechecking his readings with obvious disbelief. "This can't be right." "What is it, officer?" "They're not using any known form of propulsion, no hyperspace signatures, no plasma trails, no gravitational distortions. They're just moving through space as if physics doesn't apply to them. And Commander, at their current rate of approach, they'll be in weapons range in less than 10 minutes. Captain Morse's scales rippled with nervousness, a pattern Zara had learned to recognize over their years of service together. "Commander, should we hail them? Standard Imperial protocol demands identification of all vessels in our space." Before Zara could respond, her communications console erupted with activity. Lieutenant Thex's antennae twitched frantically as multiple signals flooded in from across the sector. "Commander!" Thex called out urgently, his compound eyes darting between multiple displays. "I'm receiving priority transmissions from across the sector. Multiple Imperial fleets are reporting contact with similar unknown vessels." "How many fleets?" Zara demanded, feeling her stomach drop. "All of them, sir. Every Imperial battle group in this quadrant is encountering these ships. Admiral Keth's Third Fleet, General Mork's Border Defense Force, even the elite guard protecting the core worlds. They're all reporting the same thing." Zara's mind raced. A coordinated appearance of unknown vessels across multiple sectors could only mean one thing. This was planned. But by whom? And how had they remained hidden from Imperial intelligence? The Empire's spy network was the most sophisticated in galactic history. "Sir," Brent interrupted, his voice tight with anxiety. "The vessel is now within weapons range and—" "Commander, it's scanning us." "Scanning? With what type of sensors?" "I don't know. My equipment is detecting the scan, but I can't identify the frequency or method. It's like they're seeing right through our shields and hull plating. Commander, they're mapping our entire ship. Weapon systems, crew locations, even our power distribution networks." Zara felt her 4 hands clench into fists. No one had scanned an Imperial dreadnought so thoroughly in over 500 years. The Sovereign's Wrath Asterisk was equipped with the most advanced counter-surveillance equipment in the galaxy. "Raise shields to maximum," she ordered. "All weapons to ready status. If they want to fight—" Suddenly a new voice filled the bridge. Calm, confident, and speaking perfect Imperial standard, despite an accent Zara had never heard before. The voice was unmistakably human, but carried an authority that made her pause. "Imperial vessel Sovereign's Wrath Asterisk. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Federation ship. Asterisk Defiance Asterisk. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The bridge fell silent except for the humming of the ship's systems. Every eye turned to Zara, waiting for her response. Terran Federation? She had never heard of such an organization, and her knowledge of galactic politics was exhaustive. "Human ship," Zara replied, trying to keep her voice steady and authoritative. "You are in Imperial space. Identify yourself and state your purpose here immediately." "Our purpose is simple, Commander Vex," came the reply, and Zara noted with surprise that the human knew her name. "We're here to accept the Empire's surrender." Captain Morth's jaw dropped open, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Surrender? A single human ship demanding the surrender of the entire Kalari Empire?" "Commander," Brent called out, his voice tight with disbelief. "I'm reading massive power buildup from their vessel. Energy levels are off the charts. These readings, they're impossible with any known technology." "Impossible how?" Zara snapped. "The power output suggests they have a miniaturized star powering their ship, but that's theoretically impossible. The containment systems alone would require technology centuries beyond anything we have." "Run a full tactical analysis," Zara ordered. "How many weapons are they targeting us with?" Brent worked frantically at his console, sweat beading on his scaled forehead, despite the bridge's climate control. "Sir, I can't identify their weapon systems. My sensors are detecting energy patterns that shouldn't be possible with any known physics. It's like they've rewritten the fundamental laws of the universe." The human voice returned, and this time it carried an edge of impatience that somehow made it more threatening than any shouted threat. "Commander Vex, you have 60 seconds to comply. Power down your weapons and lower your shields." "Or what?" Zara challenged, drawing on decades of military training and Imperial authority. "Or we will demonstrate why your empire should have treated humans with respect instead of as slaves." The word slaves hit Zara like a physical blow. The Empire had conquered many species over the millennia, and yes, some had been forced into labor. But that was the natural order. The strong ruled the weak. It had been that way for thousands of years. "The humans were conquered fairly in battle," Zara said, though even as she spoke, she found herself remembering reports of human work camps and relocation centers that had always made her uncomfortable. "Were we?" Captain Chen's voice replied, and now there was a sadness mixed with the authority. 43 years ago, your empire invaded Earth without warning or provocation. You bombarded our cities from orbit, killed billions of civilians, and enslaved the survivors. Was that your definition of a fair battle?" Zara looked around her bridge. She had been a young officer during the Earth campaign, focused on her career and following orders. The official reports had spoken of a police action against a developing aggressive species. She had never questioned those reports. "Lieutenant Thex, open a channel to Imperial Command," Zara ordered. "I want reinforcements here immediately." "Sir," Thex replied nervously, his antennae drooping. "Imperial Command isn't responding. In fact, I'm not getting any response from headquarters at all." "What do you mean not responding?" "The entire Imperial communication network has gone silent, Commander. It's as if every command center in the Empire has simply stopped transmitting. All command frequencies are dead. Emergency channels are dead. Even the automated distress beacons have stopped broadcasting. Zara felt her confidence beginning to crack. The Imperial communication network had redundancies across 50 star systems. It was designed to survive even a coordinated attack on the capital worlds. "That's impossible," she whispered. 30 seconds, Commander," came Captain Shen's voice. "Sir," Brent called out, his voice cracking with stress. "Multiple contacts appearing on sensors. Dozens of ships decloaking around us." The main viewer activated automatically, showing the space around the Sovereign's Wrath asterisk. What Zara saw made her step backward in shock, her forearms trembling slightly. Surrounding her massive dreadnought were dozens of sleek human vessels, each one different in design, but all humming with barely contained energy. They had appeared from nowhere, as if materializing from empty space itself. "Where did they come from?" Captain Morth whispered, his voice filled with awe and terror. "Advanced stealth technology," Brent replied, his hands shaking as he worked his controls. "But this is beyond anything in our databases. They were completely invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. Our sensors detected nothing. No mass, no energy signatures, no gravitational disturbances. It's as if they existed in a different dimension until now." Zara stared at the display, counting the ships. 37 vessels, all different designs, all clearly human in origin, but incorporating technologies she couldn't identify. Some looked like traditional warships. Others were geometric shapes that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. "Time's up, Commander." Captain Shen's voice filled the bridge with finality. Zara straightened, drawing on her years of military training and Imperial pride. "Human vessel, you are severely outnumbered. There are thousands of Imperial ships in this sector alone. Even if you destroy us, you cannot defeat the entire Empire." "Commander Vex," came the reply, and now the human captain sounded almost sad, as if discussing the death of a beloved pet. "Your empire enslaved my people for 43 years. You worked them to death in your mines, separated families, performed medical experiments on children, and treated them as property. Did you think there would be no consequences?" "The humans were conquered fairly in battle," Zara repeated. But the words felt hollow now. "It is the right of the strong to rule the weak. This is the natural order of the galaxy." "Is it?" Captain Shen asked. "Then you won't mind when we demonstrate our strength." Without warning, one of the human ships, a vessel that looked like crystalline spears arranged in a star pattern, fired a single beam of brilliant blue energy at an asteroid floating nearby. The massive rock, easily a kilometer across and composed of solid iron, simply vanished. Not destroyed, not broken apart, not vaporized. It ceased to exist, leaving behind empty space. "Dear ancestors," Captain Morth breathed, his scales turning pale. "What kind of weapon was that?" "Molecular disintegration beam," came Captain Shen's voice, having apparently heard his question through their open communication channel. "We learned a lot during our years of slavery, Commander, including how to build weapons your empire never dreamed of." Zara's tactical training kicked in, overriding her shock. "Battle stations. All weapons target the lead human ship. Fire at will." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as her crew executed the order. The Sovereign's Wrath asterisk unleashed its full arsenal. Plasma cannons that could crack planets, particle beams that could slice through neutronium, and quantum torpedoes that could destroy entire space stations. Every weapon system fired simultaneously, creating a light show that should have vaporized any ship in the galaxy. When the energy dissipated, the human vessel called Defiance Asterisk hung in space completely undamaged. Not a scratch on its hull, not even scorch marks from the massive bombardment. "Impressive light show," Captain Shen commented casually. "Our turn." The human ship fired a single, brief pulse, barely a flicker of energy. Every weapons system on the Sovereign's Wrath asterisk immediately went offline. Navigation went dead, shields collapsed. Life support flickered but remained active, along with basic lighting and artificial gravity. The ship was completely helpless, but still habitable. "How?" Zara whispered, staring at her useless tactical displays. "Your empire made a crucial mistake," Captain Chen explained, her voice now coming from every speaker on the ship, as if the humans had taken complete control of their communication systems. "You assumed that enslaving humans would keep us weak and divided. Instead, it gave us access to your technology, your databases, and your strategic plans. We've had 43 years to study your weaknesses." Lieutenant Thex looked up from his console with terror in his compound eyes. "Commander, I'm receiving reports from across the galaxy. Human fleets are appearing everywhere. The core worlds, the outer rim, even the sacred home systems. They're systematically shutting down Imperial defenses without destroying them." "How many humans are there?" Captain Morth asked in disbelief. "When your empire conquered Earth," Captain Chen's voice replied, and now it was being broadcast from every ship in the human fleet. "You took 12 million humans as slaves and spread them across the galaxy. You never bothered to track how many children they had, or where those children went when they grew up. You just assumed they would remain beaten and broken forever." Zara sank into her command chair as the full implications hit her. "You've been organizing for decades. Longer than that, the moment the first human child was born in Imperial slavery, we began planning for this day. Every human slave was a potential resistance fighter. Every human worker in your factories was gathering intelligence. Every human servant in your government buildings was passing information to the underground network. But your technology," Brent said, still staring at his useless tactical displays, his voice filled with professional curiosity despite their situation. "These ships, these weapons, humans didn't have this level of advancement when we conquered you." "No, we didn't," Captain Chen agreed. "But we learned fast. When you force the most innovative species in the galaxy to work in your research facilities, repair your equipment, and maintain your technology, you shouldn't be surprised when they innovate beyond your expectations." On the main viewer, Zara could see more human ships appearing throughout the system. Each one was different from the others, as if built by separate groups with their own ideas about design function. Some looked like traditional warships, others resembled geometric art pieces, and a few seemed to shift and change shape as she watched. "This is the end of the Kalari Empire," Zara realized aloud, her voice barely audible. "Not the end," Captain Chen corrected gently. "The beginning of something better. We're not here for revenge, Commander. We're here for justice." "What's the difference? Why is it always at SARS?" Captain Morth asked bitterly. "Revenge would be enslaving your people as you enslaved ours. Justice is giving every species in the galaxy the chance to govern themselves freely." Lieutenant Thex's console chimed with an incoming transmission. "Commander, it's a galaxy-wide broadcast from the human fleet. They're offering safe passage to all Imperial personnel who want to return to their home systems." Zara looked around her bridge in confusion. "Safe passage? You're not going to destroy us?" "Why would we?" Captain Chen asked, and her voice carried genuine puzzlement. "Your crew are soldiers following orders. Most of you probably never even saw a human slave. It's the system that's corrupt, not necessarily the people trapped within it." "But the Empire will never accept defeat," Zara said. "The High Command will fight to their last breath rather than give up power." "Actually," came a new voice over the communication system, ancient, tired, but unmistakably authoritative. "The High Command surrendered 37 minutes ago." The voice belonged to Emperor Kreth himself, the supreme ruler of the Kalari Empire, whose family had ruled for over 800 years. "Your Imperial Majesty?" Zara gasped, her forearms automatically moving to a salute position. "Ning, Commander Vex," the Emperor's tired voice continued. "The humans have demonstrated technologies we cannot counter. They have infiltrated every level of our government and military. They know our every plan before we make it. They have shut down our command networks, disabled our fleets, and taken control of our most secure facilities without firing a shot in anger. Resistance is not just futile, it is pointless. Sir, with respect, we cannot simply give up 2,000 years of imperial rule." It is already done, Commander. Human fleets have appeared simultaneously in every Imperial system. Our forces are outgunned, outnumbered, and completely outmaneuvered. But more importantly, they have offered us something we did not expect. What's that, sir? Mercy, and a chance to be part of something greater than an empire built on conquest and fear. Captain Chen's voice returned to the bridge speakers. Commander Vex, you and your crew have a choice to make. You can return to your homeworld and help build a new society based on cooperation rather than domination. Or you can join us in exploring the galaxy as equals rather than conquerors. Zara looked at her crew, officers she had served with for years, beings she respected and trusted. She saw fear in their eyes, but also something else she hadn't expected: hope. What guarantee do we have that you won't simply turn us into slaves? Captain Morth asked, his voice carrying decades of ingrained suspicion. The same guarantee you gave humans when you conquered us, Captain Chen replied honestly. None. The difference is we mean it when we say we want to build a better future for everyone. You'll have to judge us by our actions, not our words. Lieutenant Thex cleared his throat nervously. Commander, I'm receiving reports that human forces are already distributing food and medical supplies to refugee camps across the galaxy. They're treating wounded Imperial soldiers. They're helping Imperial citizens who were displaced by the recent rebellions. That makes no sense, Captain Morth muttered. Why help your enemies? Because they're not our enemies, Captain Chen replied. They're fellow beings trapped in a system that turned them into oppressors. Most Imperial citizens never chose to be part of an empire that enslaved other species. They were born into it, just like we were born into slavery. Zara stood up slowly, her mind reeling from everything that had happened. In the span of 2 hours, the most powerful empire in galactic history had fallen not to a massive invasion or a prolonged war, but to the organized resistance of a species they had underestimated completely. Captain Chen, Zara said finally, what happens now? How do you govern 1 trillion beings across thousands of worlds? We don't, came the surprising reply. Governing implies ruling over others. We're proposing something different. A federation where each world governs itself according to its own values and traditions, but all work together for mutual benefit. And if some Imperial worlds refuse to cooperate, then they can govern themselves however they choose, as long as they don't try to conquer their neighbors. The age of empires is over, Commander. The age of cooperation has begun. Brent looked up from his console, his expression thoughtful. Captain Chen, the technologies you've demonstrated today, they're centuries ahead of anything we thought possible. How did enslaved humans develop such advanced science? Necessity, Captain Chen replied. When your people put human scientists to work in your research facilities, they didn't realize that humans think differently than most species. We don't just accept that something is impossible. We figure out how to make it possible. 43 years of desperation led to innovations your empire never could have achieved. But the scale of this operation, Zara said, her tactical mind trying to comprehend the logistics. Coordinating fleets across the entire galaxy, infiltrating every level of Imperial society, developing new technologies in secret? How did you manage it without detection? Because you never saw us as a threat, came a new voice over the communications system. This one was older, with a different accent. This is Admiral Marcus Washington, formerly of the Imperial Research Division. I spent 20 years working in your weapons development programs, Commander. Every human in the Empire contributed to this effort in some way. Admiral Washington? Captain Morth said with recognition. You were listed as killed in a research accident 12 years ago. We faked my death when I had learned everything I needed about Imperial military technology. I've been coordinating the technical development of our fleet ever since. More voices joined the conversation, each identifying themselves as former Imperial slaves who had held key positions throughout the Empire. Scientists, engineers, administrators, even some who had served in the Imperial military itself before their true identity was discovered. My God, Zara whispered, you were everywhere. We had to be, Captain Chen said. An empire the size of yours doesn't fall overnight. It takes decades of preparation, careful planning, and sacrificed by thousands of people who knew they might not live to see freedom. Lieutenant Thex was monitoring multiple communication channels simultaneously. "Commander, I'm getting confirmation from across the galaxy. The transition is proceeding peacefully almost everywhere. Most Imperial worlds are accepting the new arrangement without resistance." "What about the die-hard Imperial loyalists?" Captain Morth asked. "They're being given the same choice as everyone else," Captain Shen replied. "Freedom to govern themselves as they see fit, as long as they don't try to rebuild the Empire." As the Sovereign's Wrath Asterisk powered down its remaining systems and prepared to return home, Zara couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief. For the first time in her military career, she wasn't fighting to maintain control over unwilling subjects. She was being offered the chance to be part of something built on mutual respect rather than fear. "Commander," Brent called from his station, "the human ships are forming up around us. They're escorting us home." "Not as prisoners?" Captain Morth asked. "As beings who deserve the chance to build a better future," Captain Shen's voice replied. "Just like every other species in the galaxy." "Captain Shen," Zara said, making a decision that surprised even herself. "When we reach Kalari Prime, I'd like to request a meeting with your leadership. If we're going to build this new galaxy, we'll need beings who understand both the old system and the new vision." "I was hoping you'd say that, Commander. We have a lot of work to do, and we'll need help from people who know how the Empire really functioned." As the convoy of ships moved through hyperspace toward the Kalari homeworld, Zara reflected on the lessons of the day. The Empire had fallen not because humans were stronger warriors or had better weapons, but because they had remained true to their values even under the worst circumstances. They had organized, innovated, and ultimately succeeded not through cruelty or conquest, but through the very qualities the Empire had tried to crush: hope, cooperation, and the unshakable belief that all beings deserve freedom. "Sir," Lieutenant Thex said quietly, "I'm receiving a personal message for you from the human fleet." "From Captain Shen?" "No, sir. From someone who says they know you." Zara frowned. She had never knowingly met a human before today. "Put it through." The voice that came through her personal communicator was soft, elderly, but speaking perfect Kalari with the accent of her home province. "Commander Vex, this is Dr. Elena Vasquez. I was your family's household maintenance worker for 15 years, until I was transferred to the research division." Zara's 4 hands gripped her chair arms. She remembered Dr. Vasquez, the quiet human woman who had kept their family estate running smoothly, who had taught young Zara basic mathematics when her tutors were unavailable, who had always seemed so sad despite her gentle demeanor. "Dr. Vasquez, you're alive?" "Yes, child, and I want you to know that I never forgot your kindness. When you gave me your old textbooks to read, when you shared your meals with me when the other staff wasn't looking, when you asked me about my family on Earth, those small acts of compassion kept hope alive in an old woman's heart." Zara felt tears forming in her eyes, a physiological response she hadn't experienced in years. I didn't know you were planning all this. None of us knew if we would live to see this day, but we never stopped believing that someday the galaxy would be a place where no being would be enslaved by another. You helped teach me that not all Kalari approved of what the Empire did to us. Dr. Vasquez, I'm sorry. I should have done more. I should have questioned the system. You were a child, Zara. You couldn't have changed the Empire then, but you can help build something better now. The conversation continued as the fleet traveled toward Kalari Prime, with Zara learning that many of the humans she was now negotiating with were beings she had encountered throughout her life. Servants, workers, maintenance staff who had been invisible parts of Imperial society while secretly working toward freedom. By the time they reached the Kalari homeworld, Zara had made her decision. She would resign her Imperial commission and work with the new Galactic Federation, helping to transition thousands of worlds from empire to cooperation. The age of the Kalari Empire was over. The age of the Galactic Federation, built by humans but belonging to everyone, had begun, and across 1 trillion worlds, beings who had never known freedom were finally learning what it meant to choose their own destiny. The revolution was complete. The real work was just beginning. But as Zara looked out at the stars, now bright with the promise of a better future, she realized that sometimes the end of one dream was simply the beginning of a better one. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in her life, she was proud to be part of the change.